Right, let's start today's session. So this is the second session of .NET Core. So in the last session, we were discuss about very basic introduction session. And let me give a 5 minutes brief introduction what we discussed in the last session. We have started in the last session .NET Core introduction. We discussed in the last session only what subjects I'm going to cover in the context of .NET Core, like C#.NET, ASP.NET Core, MVC, ASP.NET Core, Entity Framework, Web API, along with ADV.NET using .NET Framework and SQL Server. These subjects I'm going to cover in .NET Core basic package. And the duration of this course is, which I discussed in the last session, total 4 months. And every Monday to Thursday C#.NET session I will conduct, and every Friday to Saturday, Friday and Saturday weekly 2 days SQL Server sessions I'll conduct. This is going to happen mostly in the next week onwards. This week completely only we will focus on .NET and C#.NET introduction only completely. And as we discussed in the last session, what is .NET means? .NET is a framework tool which supports different types of programming languages like C#, VB, J#, and so on. And our programming languages throughout this .NET Core is C#.NET only. So you are going to learn only one programming language in this .NET Core, that is C#.NET. It is most important programming language. Using this programming language only, we can able to write coding part for the application development. Even in ASP.NET, we use C#.NET coding, and Entity Framework, Web API, connectivity with SQL Server is using ADV.NET. All the ways we will write C#.NET logic only, sir. Okay. Yes. Now today's session, as I said that .NET is the product of Microsoft. .NET stands for Network Enabled Technology. But according to Microsoft, there is no official abbreviation for .NET. Only programmers will call it as it is a network-enabled technology. And the .NET framework was introduced first version from 2002. From 2002 to 2015, there is only .NET framework which makes platform-independent applications. Means .NET code can able to run on only Windows operating system. It do not support other operating system when it comes to like from 2002 to 2015. So if in this .NET framework to run your code in different operating systems, then there is one more framework is there, that is called Mono framework. We have to use it. But Microsoft released a new framework that is called .NET Core framework from 2016, that is .NET Core, which makes platform independent, which will run on all operating system. So this we discussed in the last session, and mainly in our sessions, we will focus on 3 main important applications. Console application in the context of C#.NET with object-oriented programming, I will cover. Windows Forms application in the context of .NET framework with ADV.NET, I'll cover. Web application, our main focus is in web application, C#.NET coding, ASP.NET Core MVC pattern, design pattern, it is model view controller, along with entity framework, web API through. I'll explain this all web applications point of view. So this is what in the last session, what we were discussed. Now today, I'm trying to discuss about .NET framework versions. .NET framework versions, and later we will also discuss about .NET Core versions, so that you will get clarity which version, latest version, and which we are going to use in our coding part. You will get idea. So .NET framework versions and .NET Core version, and you just observe apart from .NET framework versions and .NET Core versions. So whatever you are selecting, you can select it .NET framework or .NET Core framework. But we are going to teach completely .NET Core only. Some examples we will teach with .NET Framework also, especially when it comes to ADV.NET to communicate with the database using .NET Framework through also I'll explain, so that you will get both idea. So framework through how it is coding and core framework through how it is coding, you will get clarity. And no matter if you choose .NET Framework or .NET Core Framework, but only one editor tool we recommend to use, that is called Visual Studio. What is that? Visual Studio only. So Visual Studio is an editor tool that is also called as IDE, means Integrated Development Environment. You know that any programming language, like C programmers, how they'll use Turbo C editor or Notepad, Edit Plus, code blocks. Same Java programmers, how they'll use like NetBeans, Eclipse, MyEclipse. Python programmers, they'll use like PyCharm, ideally. Same .NET programmers use Visual Studio editor tool. So this editor tool is a popular editor tool for especially designed for .NET programmers. This is created or designed by Microsoft only. So we are going to use Visual Studio editor tool throughout our classes. All the applications, all the different types of applications we are going to develop using Visual Studio only, editor through only. So this Visual Studio code through, I'm going to explain all the topics here. So along with framework, we can use Visual Studio. Along with the .NET Core framework, we can use Visual Studio. So Visual Studio is a common, which IDE means Visual Studio IDE I'm going to use. Visual Studio is just an editor tool where we can write .NET programming and where we can able to edit .NET code and execute and compile. So this is Visual Studio. So first, let's see this Visual .NET Framework version along with Visual Studio combination. Let me open. We have some basic documentation. So in this, you will get clearly. So what versions of Visual Studio and what versions of .NET frameworks are there, you can see this. So this is completely .NET Framework version and Visual Studio version. So let's use this. Give me 1 second. So this is completely .NET Framework with Visual Studio version, sir. Okay, yes. So I'm using this .NET Framework and Visual Studio version. So as I said that Microsoft first version released by Microsoft .NET version framework version 1.0 in the year of 2002. So at that time, .NET Framework 1.0, Microsoft has given an IDE called Visual Studio. The name is called VS only. Later, Microsoft introduced 1.1 .NET Framework. In that context of 1.1 .NET Framework, they were recommended to use Visual Studio 2003. 2.0 Visual Studio 2005. When it comes to 3.0 .NET Framework version, this is not applicable. Microsoft were recommended to use Visual Studio 25 only for 3.0 .NET Framework. And 3.5 Visual Studio 2008, 4.0 Framework version it is 2010, 4.5 Visual Studio 2012, 4.6 VS 2015, 4.7 VS 2017, 4.7.1 as well as 2 VS 2019, Visual Studio 2019, and 4.9 is the Visual Studio 2022. So this is the latest one in the context of .NET Framework 4.8 only. So if we are going to work with the .NET Framework, we recommend this 4.8. So Visual Studio 2022. Or else 4.7 onwards, it's better to use any framework. It's okay, no problem. But these are only .NET Framework versions, which makes platform dependent only. The moment when we create any application, when we develop any application using this .NET Framework along with Visual Studio Editor, which makes platform dependent only. Means what? It will not support all operating system. Where on which operating system? Mostly Windows operating system. Windows operating system is the product of Microsoft. And all .NET libraries and .NET subjects also related to Microsoft only. So that Windows operating system only suitable to write your code with the .NET Framework with Visual Studio. But as I said that from 2016 onwards, Microsoft also released the core versions. Core version means these are the .NET Core version. .NET Core and .NET Framework difference clearly I said in the last session. .NET Framework means which makes platform dependent. .NET Core means which makes platform independent. So .NET Core versions also released. So from 2016 onwards. So that's what companies are started using .NET Core, which makes platform independent clearly. So I am trying to discuss about .NET Core versions also here. So first .NET Core version 1.0. Okay. In the year of 2016, okay, in the year of 2016 June, Microsoft has released first version of the core version 2016 only. So once we started to use .NET Core 1.0 2016 onwards, so they were developed the applications on any operating system which will run. But right now, Microsoft has stopped the support for .NET Core 1.0, even latest version like 3.1 also, which was stopped the support. So let's give this .NET Core, one more version is there, .NET Core 2.0. 2.0 in the year of 2018. Okay, 2018 August. So Microsoft was released 2.0 core version in the year of 2018. .NET Core 3.0. Then in the year of 2019, then September month. Next .NET Core 3.1, which is most used core framework in real time. So that is .NET Core 3.1. Still, so many companies are using .NET Core 3.1 if they want to develop the application based on core platform only. So if they are developing, suppose some companies still they are developing .NET application using framework through, they are going to use like .NET 4.7 or 4.8 only right now. So .NET Core 3.1 in the year of 2019 again, that is December. Okay, so 2019 December. And .NET Core 5.0 also released, but this is not popular as expected. That's what it was released in the year of 2020 year and November. So there are a lot of limitations are there in .NET Core Framework 5.0. Though Microsoft has announced 5.0, but most of the companies still they were using .NET Core 3.1 only. Still they are using .NET Core 3.1. So because Microsoft has stopped the support for .NET 5.0, but they are still supporting .NET Core 3.1. But recently Microsoft has stopped the support for .NET 3.1 also, because lot of modification through Microsoft released .NET 6.0 in the recent times, that is 2021, sir, 2021, that is November only. So .NET Core 6.0 2021 November. .NET Core 7. .NET Core 7 also there recently released, that is .NET Core 7. So updated version, that is 2023 January only they have released. And this is very latest updations came from .NET 7.0 only, but still we are going to use .NET 6 only or .NET Core 3.1 only. .NET Core 5.0 you just forget about, because it's completely with modification. So only few days they have provided support for .NET Core 5.0, and later they came with what, .NET Core 6.0. So if you want to use, better to use .NET Core 6.0, I'm going to teach .NET Core 6.0 version with Visual Studio 2022. Visual Studio 2022 only we have .NET Core 6.0. When it comes to Visual Studio 2019 software, then we will notice that if you are going to develop core platform, .NET Core 3.1 only there, even Core 5.0 is not available. So when we go for .NET Core 6 or 7, we recommend strongly Visual Studio 2022 IDLE software. So see, simple logic I'll tell you. These are the core versions, these are the framework versions. And commonly what editor we are going to use, even though if we go for .NET Framework or .NET Core versions, common editor what we are using, Visual Studio Editor only. But the moment when we start using Visual Studio 2019, any framework we can use, .NET framework. Even 2020 also, any framework we can use, 4.8, 4.7.2, 4.7. This is .NET framework. But the moment when we start working with .NET Core version, if we are working with .NET Core 3.1, then we can go for VS 2019. If we are looking for .NET 6.0 or 7.0, go for VS 2022. So for few sessions, we will conduct VS 29 along with .NET Framework 4.8, and immediately we will go for core software, core framework, so that you will get both idea, .NET Framework idea and core framework idea you will get. So that's what initial programming we will start with 4.8 with the .NET VS 2019, and later we will go for VS 2022 along with .NET Core 6.0, so that you will get clear differences, how it will be. Okay, is there any coding changes and all? But for sure, I can say one thing. Even if you are using .NET Framework with any Visual Studio 2019 or 2022 and .NET Core version VS 2019 or 2022, in the context of C#.NET, you don't find much more differences. Why? Because C#.NET is a programming language. So same concepts is there, even if you are using core version or framework version. But you will find a lot of differences when it comes to ASP.NET Core MVC development. So if we go through ASP.NET MVC with the .NET framework, coding style and different style of coding is there. If we go through ASP.NET Core framework with MVC, there are a lot of differences there, extremely different way to write the code here. So better to learn .NET Core only instead of .NET framework. But you will understand in my lectures throughout that sessions, you will understand also .NET framework with how to deal with the .NET framework, and .NET Core through also how to deal with. You will get clarity here. So this is completely versioning of .NET Core versions as well as Visual Studio versions as well as .NET framework versions. And these are the versions. But we will focus mostly .NET Core 6.0. This is this, and even 7.0 is there, but we will not focus because you don't get more clarity when we directly go for 7.0. Even if I try to teach 6.0 also, you don't get clarity, because so a lot of the things we should learn from 3.1 itself. So that once we use this 3.1, so it will be easy to understand 6.0, how it is upgraded. So that's what in the learning process, immediate version, very latest version, you should not learn. That's not good also, because if you learn very latest version, no companies will use very latest version in the real time. So after getting a job, then when we go for new versions, if you know that, but you are not aware of that old version, how to deal with, but still companies are using that old project with 3.1 version, then how we can able to manage? So that's not good. So that's what I can recommend to learn any subject, the 2 or 3 versions behind you have to learn, so that you will understand clearly what things are there in new versions. That is the best process. But most of the students will ask .NET 7 also there. Why don't you teach .NET 7? Means still companies also not at all using .NET 7. If I teach, then what is the use of to learn .NET 7? You are ready with the .NET 7, but companies are not ready to take the .NET 7 platform. Then what job role you are going to play that in reality? Hope you understand that. So that's what before, but Microsoft usually in any software, everyday upgradations are there, updations are there, everything. But immediate updations will not impact on real-time industry. That you have to keep it in your mind. So every time you can learn behind the 2 versions, that is the best practice, because you will come to know that what things are there earlier and what things are upgraded or updated in this software versions. You will get clarity clear. So that's what immediate impact will not be there, very latest versions. So even my focus is mostly 3.1 as well as 6.0 also. What changes are there, that is clearly available. Okay. So versions, yes, C# versions also there. I will discuss clearly, because C# version, when we go for VS 2022, almost C# 8 and 9 versions only there here. Okay. That also I will discuss when I start with C#.NET introduction. Don't worry. And coming to this application area of .NET. Okay, so let's see this application area of .NET. So what kind of applications we can develop using .NET are mainly. So as I said, that .NET is a general purpose framework. So that means we can develop different types of applications, not only specific applications we can develop using .NET. So for example, you can see application area of .NET. As I said that we can develop using .NET, we can develop standalone or desktop applications. Standalone or desktop application. Standalone or desktop application means what? The applications once we design and develop, and in which mission you are going to install that mission, on that particular mission only we can able to run. In that applications we can't able to run on different missions. It's not possible. That is called standalone. All standalone or desktop applications are product based applications. For example, you can see product based means software development, some editor tools like Visual Studio is one of the product which is belongs to Microsoft. And suppose GoTo meeting or Zoom meeting is one of the product. So that is going to be work on only one particular system when we install it. So if you are connecting with Zoom meeting, we have to install it. That is one product. So after installation only, it will be available in your desktop. So this type of applications also we can use, we can develop using .NET. So standalone or desktop applications. So in this standalone or desktop application, two types of applications mainly we are focusing. As I said, that console applications here. Console application means it provides completely CUI facilities, command user interface or character user interface. Next, Windows Forms application is there. Windows Forms application. Windows Forms application means what? This is GUI facilities, graphical user interface. So console application and Windows Forms application, these two comes into standalone or desktop application. So standalone application completely belongs to like product based application. This is not service oriented applications. These are product based application. Meaning means in console application, all the things we should do with character user interface. Then we interact with the application, we should give input values in the form of characters. When we try to get the values from the application, we should get the values from the application in the form of what? Characters only. So this is called very basic programming in .NET with console application. That is C++ programs. It's almost similar. And we are going to discuss in console application all the basics like operators, data types, and control flow statements with respect of C#.NET, even including object-oriented programming features like encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance, abstraction, many more, generics, delegates, shield classes, partial classes, everything will cover in the console application point of view only with C#.NET. And Windows Forms application is also a standalone or a desktop application, but only the change is GUI support, graphical user interface. For example, graphical user interface example is just I'm opening calculator here. So this is Windows calculator. This is the graphical user interface format only. Here buttons are there, labels are there, text box is there, form is there, minimize option, maximize option. This is window form only here. So this window form also we are going to create using Windows Forms application. This type of forms we are going to create, we are going to write code with validations also. And using window forms through only, I'm going to explain ADV.NET concepts. So that means user can interact with window form, and that form data we are going to store into SQL Server database. In that context, we use ADV.NET with respect of Windows Forms application. And next type of application is most important application, that is called web applications. Web application also called as online applications. These online applications all are what actually? Distributed application. Distributed applications means what? The moment when we interact with any web application, that is online application, like Flipkart, Amazon, any internet banking like SBI, ICICI, Access Bank, HDFC, and so on. This is online applications complete. So using a .NET, we can also build web applications or online applications, but compulsory to build online applications or web application, what is required? ASP.NET is required, sir. Without ASP.NET, we can't build any web application using .NET Core libraries. So ASP.NET is the mandatory. So ASP.NET is not a programming language, it is a technology. ASP.NET, Active Server Page.NET technology it is. Using this technology, using this MVC architecture, entity framework libraries, and web API, so we can build these web applications clearly. So this is one type of application. And using .NET, we can develop gaming applications also possible, sir. Gaming applications are possible. So with C#.NET, with the Unity library, and even we can develop network programming also using .NET, network programming applications. And even we can develop some business applications also. If some clients are asking some requirements through according to their business needs, we can collect the requirements from the clients. So business applications also possible. We can satisfy their business needs by collecting some requirements from the client, and we can develop based on their requirements some application that is called business applications also we can build using .NET. And also we can go for, along with window form, WPF applications also possible. So that is Windows Presentation Foundation. Windows Presentation Foundation, sir. This is Windows Presentation Foundation. So Windows Presentation Foundation means WPF. It is an extension of Windows Forms application. So even we will see this few examples which is related to Windows Presentation Foundation, so that you will get clarity differences between Windows Forms application and Windows Presentation Foundation application. But even though WPF, Windows Presentation Foundation, is there, but still most of the users are recommend to use Windows Forms application here, because the more flexibility is there in Windows Forms application clearly. Either you can use Windows Forms or you can use WPF. And next, what is there? WCF applications also we can develop. WCF. WCF is nowadays no one is using WCF because we have a web API clearly. This is the newest version of WCF. So WCF means Windows Communication Foundation. Windows Communication Foundation, we can say that. Windows Communication Foundation. This is WCF. So Windows Communication, actually it first there are in the old frameworks and old .NET Core frameworks also, we were developed like Windows Services, even web services also, web services. Web services is the first. Okay, so this is the web service. Initially in every technology, web services was there, but slowly web services, in place of web services, we were start using WCF, Windows Communication Foundation. WCF is the advanced version of web services only. Okay, and after Windows Communication Foundation also, so this is upgraded with what? Web API. So what we have seen, that is ASP.NET Core Web API. So many of them are using now Web API only. This is Web API, Core Web API. So that's what instead of WCF, instead of web services, we are going to use what's a Web API. This is very RESTful API services we are going to develop based on REST architecture only. We are going to develop APIs. So REST means representational state transfer. So most of the technologies are using REST APIs only. So we are also going to use Web API, that is REST architecture through only. So these are the and most important MVC applications we can develop, which is common now. MVC nowadays, MVC is a common design pattern everywhere. Even Java programmers also developing MVC application. Even Django Python developer also, they'll use MVT pattern, model view template, but we are using in .NET MVT, model view controller pattern. So this pattern is very important pattern. A very flexibly and very securely we can build ASP.NET web applications with MVC architecture. So this is exactly application area of .NET. What type of applications we can build using .NET we have seen. But in this console application here, so main application is console application. Okay, in this console application, so this console application only main application, very beginning application, I'm going to start with this application only, sir, console application. But console application, how we can able to create, how we can able to discuss means using C#.NET. So let's begin with C#.NET basic introduction. So C#.NET introduction. So C#.NET is the programming language. Look at this once again. I'm telling you, this is our subjects. These are our subjects, which I'm going to cover throughout our session. So these subjects I'm going to cover. Okay. First, after completion of this basic introduction, I'm going to start with what's are actually C#.NET introduction. So this is our main programming language, especially core programming language. Without C#, you can't able to go through any of them. So C#.NET is the main language. So you should focus more on C#.NET. Those who have the knowledge on C#.NET, they can easily write code in the context of ASP.NET Core MVC, Entity Framework, Web API, and so on. Okay, so without C#.NET logics, there is no application building is possible with .NET. So that's what our main core programming language is, C#.NET. So that I'm going to start today, C#.NET basic introduction. So what is C#.NET? Point number one, C#.NET is a programming language. C#.NET is a programming language. C#.NET is a programming language which is used to write coding part or application logic or business logic, which is used to write coding part for the application development, sir, which is used to write coding part for the application development. And in C#.NET is most powerful programming language. C#.NET is most powerful programming language. Why? Because I'll tell you, most powerful programming language, because C#.NET is equals to C++, whatever the features we have in C++, like object-oriented programming. Okay, so C++ plus VB 6.0, VB.NET. So VB 6.0 plus Java features plus additional features. These all features are there in C#.NET only. That's what I can say. C#.NET is most powerful programming language. And already when Microsoft started releasing C#.NET programming language, so already C language is there and already C++ also there before the C#.NET. And one thing is very clear, and C++ languages are very fundamental and basic resource to generate a new programming languages like C#.NET, Java, Python, and any other languages. So that two languages are basic resource to generate or to create any other programming language. So that's what here C++ already there. So Microsoft is thinking, so what name we can give for this C#.NET, means they were thinking like that in the case of releasing C#.NET programming language. So anyway, this programming language is going to become a popular language. It's a powerful language. That's what they have given the name called C# only. That is, sharp means what you know, it's a musical note. So that's what we should not call this sharp symbol as a hash symbol. Some students will call it as this is the C# only. This is not a C#, it's a sharp. So you should pronounce always the symbol as sharp symbol here, SHARP, sharp only. Because Microsoft, anyway, they're expecting this programming language is going to become a most powerful programming language. So sharp symbol is collected from musical notes. There are 7 musical notes. Among 7 musical notes, sharp is the first musical note, which is first place, most powerful musical note. That's what they are calling this as a C#.NET, not C#. So this is a simple story behind this. Now in C#.NET, mainly we need to focus on fundamentals first. Okay, fundamental. But there are so many C#.NET versions also there, sir. Okay, C#.NET versions. So which version we are going to use according to selection of your what we can say Visual Studio. So in Visual Studio, there are so many versions. C# 1.0 is there, C# 2.0, C# 3.0, which is recommend .NET Framework 3.0, C# 4.0 is there. Okay, C# 5.0, C# 6.0, C# 7.0, C# 8 is there, which is recommend what actually 2019. Visual Studio 2019, C# 8.0 is there. These are the main versions. Let's see this, the C#, what we can say, first version of C#.NET is how it is when it is released. Okay, let's see this. You know about .NET Framework version and Visual Studio versions and .NET Core versions. So now I'm giving clarity of versions of C# versions. So as I said, that .NET was announced by Bill Gates in the year of 2000, and first version of .NET was released in the year of 2002 only. But in the 2002, January 2002, C# .NET 1.0 came into the picture. This is the first version of C# 1.0. Okay. Later, November 2005, 2005, C# 2.0 came into the picture. C# .NET 2.0. Okay. At the same November 2007, C# .NET 3.0 came into the picture. This is C# versions only, not framework versions. Okay. So frameworks were recommend any version 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 like this. Okay. In Visual Studio also, you can have the option which version of C# .NET do you want to select, which version of framework do you want to select. They will provide you Visual Studio only. And after that, again in the November 2007, okay, 4.0 only released actually. November 2007, C# 3.0 is there, which is recommend .NET Framework 3.0. At the same time, 4.0 also they have released it with updation. Okay, so November same year, and with little modification, then C# .NET 4.0 here, C# 4.0. And after that, so August 2012, okay, long gap, C# 5.0 version is there, 5.0. And then July 2015, C#, what actually 6.0, C# 6.0. And then next March 2017. These all no need to remember. Okay, just I'm giving clarity. Only versions, latest versions need to be remembered. No one will ask in interview what versions are there, version history, how it is, nothing. Don't worry about that. Okay. So 2017 C# 7.0 here, 7.0, which is recommended with the .NET Framework 4.7 only. Okay. So I'm talking about these all versions with respect of what .NET Framework. And .NET Core Framework through also we can able to use C# 8, 9, 10 like that only. Because in 2017, C# 7 is there. No, this is recommended to use .NET Core only, because .NET Core was released in 2016. So 2015 now, C# 7 onwards, .NET Core will support. Got my point? So this is March 2017, C# .NET 7.0. And September 2019, C# .NET 8.0 came. C# .NET 8.0, all C# .NET versions. And at the same time, November 2020, C# .NET 9.0 is there. C# .NET 9.0. And very recently, November 2021, okay, this is the latest C# .NET 10 also came. So we will focus on C# .NET 10, because anyway, we are using Visual Studio 2022 version, editor tool. Whenever the moment when I select VS 2022 and C# .NET 7, I think C# .NET 7 is recommend, .NET Core 7 is recommend C# 10 version, .NET 6 version is recommend C# 9 version. But there is no much more bigger changes version to versions. So you can able to use any latest 3 versions, that is same pattern, same functionality, same features, almost all. So this is completely versions history about C# .NET sir. So we can go for C# .NET 9.0 or we can go for C# .NET 10.0 also. So but we recommend personally behind 2 versions, you can, if you learn, that is the better option. Okay, even new versions also we can learn, not a problem. But immediate impact will not be there in reality whenever we learn very recent versions are there, because they have to do more research on that, and they can collect the feedback from the companies and programmers. Then once they got clarity, so that they can do little modification or without modification, they will give you full support from the Microsoft end only. So these are the version history of C# .NET. So our programming language is completely C# .NET sir. Okay. So C# .NET through only we are going to write complete logic part. So In C#.NET, mainly we need to focus on what application? Console application, because 60% of C#.NET syllabus I'm going to cover with console application only. All basics, fundamentals, functions, operators, control flow statements, arrays, .NET collections. Okay, collections means a lot of collections are there. Array collection, array list collection, what we can say, stack, queue. Okay, and generic collections. There are very popular collections are there in .NET, generic collections. All collections we will cover in console application. So our main focus in C#.NET is console application only. So as I said, that console application is a standalone application or desktop application. It provides CUI facilities, character user interface facilities completely. And in console application, console is a class. Console application programs are just like C, C++ programs. So where we write code C++ and where we can run the code in command prompt, same like this in console application programs are just like C++ programs. But fundamentally, these are very important. So you are going to learn a lot of subject in the context of console application, including object-oriented programming. In console application, console is a class. Console is a class which is present in system namespace. What is namespace? In the sense, in the .NET context, namespace is called as library. Suppose here, no, we have to check that. Okay, version history we have to check, then I will let you know that. Actually, we have to check official Microsoft.com website. We will show you that whether it is released or not. But this is the latest and which I included according to 2021 only. So might be it released. Okay, but as I said that very latest, we should not go for that. Okay, yeah. So fine. So in console application, console is a class which is present in system namespace only. In system namespace, it's a namespace. Namespace is nothing but libraries are actually. Okay, so namespace is nothing but library. Generally, namespace means what actually in C, C++ languages, how the programmers are going to use, excuse me, how the programmers are going to use libraries like header files, as include stdioh, as include conio.h. So same like that in C#.NET, we use namespace. How Java people use what we can say packages, then same we are going to use what actually in .NET namespaces. So this is namespaces context only. So this namespace is nothing but system namespace. In this system namespace only, console application class is there. What class is there? Console class is there. If you don't have any system namespace on the top of the .NET program, especially C#.NET program, console class will not work. So compulsory, and most important thing is in other languages like Java as well as C#, C++ or C, programmer has to take responsibility to import the libraries or packages. But when it comes to .NET, the moment when we select the type of application like console application, Windows Forms application, web application, based on the application, automatically the libraries or namespaces will be available on the top of the program. In case existing libraries or namespaces, if it's not enough to develop your application, and manually we have to import it. But most of the case depends on selected application. Okay, so whatever we select the application type, then that application based on namespaces will come directly, which will be available on the top of the program. So we are talking about console application. In this console application, console is a class which is present in which namespace? System namespace. If we don't include system namespace, console will not work. If we don't use console class, there is no input and output process. Generally, console class is for what purpose? Console class is used to work with input and output process. Input and output streams are input and output stream. Input and output. See, generally in C++, when we go for input, scanf can be used. When we go for output, printf we can use. Same like in C#.NET, to work with input and output process, then we use what class actually? Console class. Console class is used to work with in input and output stream. Console class is present in system namespace, but console class is having some methods. Console class is having methods. What methods are there? I'll tell you. So these are the important methods which will manage input and output. So that methods are write method, and C#.NET is a case sensitive programming language, sir. Case sensitive means whatever the lowercase and uppercase words are there, same way how to use it. Keywords and reserved words, same way how to use it. In different way, it is not possible to use. You will come to know once we started programming part, so that no worries. So right line L capital, here W capital. So these are the methods. So compulsory we have to use brackets. So these four methods, very important methods in the context of console class. Write line, and read line methods. So read line method. Write line as well as read line. So let's see this read line methods are. Read line methods. These methods are associated with always console class. So console class is having these methods. These methods, write line methods are there, read line methods are there. In simply, I can say that write line methods are output methods. If you want to display any output statements to the end user in the output screen, then we use write line methods. And read line methods are what purpose? Whenever you are trying to accept some input values from the user, then we use read line methods. Read line methods are input methods, means these methods can be used to accept values from the user inputs. The moment when we try to give input values to our program, then we use read line. When we want to print the values to the output screen, then that is write line method. So write line difference means simple. When we use write method, output values will display in the same line only, within the same line only. When we use write line method, it is simply /n. /n means escape sequence in the C++ point of view. The new line. So same in C#.NET console application, write line is used to represent your output values into next line only. Line by line, it will print. I will show you practically once I start coding part. Okay. And read line means read method and read line method both are going to use accepting user input values. But there are some differences are there. That differences I will tell you clearly in the practical orientation only once I start it. Okay. So these are the important methods with console class only. This is basic introduction. So it's time to launch Visual Studio 2019 or Visual Studio 2022, sir. That I am going to launch in tomorrow's session. So that once how to open Visual Studio, from where we can download Visual Studio 2019 or 2022. So I will show you clearly. Once I open Visual Studio, I can create from there console application with the .NET framework, console application with core framework, so that you will get difference between .NET framework and core framework, how to create same application, how the code is going to change, whatever the options are there in Visual Studio, you will get full clarity in tomorrow. From tomorrow onwards, I'm going to start coding part for C#.NET, very basic programming I'm going to start. In today's lecture, so you got .NET Framework, Visual Studio versions, .NET Core versions, application area of .NET, and C#.NET and its complete version history, and console application basic introduction with respect of C#.NET. So that's all from my side today. If you have any question, you can feel free to ask me. And tomorrow also you can use same link and same time, so that you will get tomorrow onwards. We will start coding part, very basic programming. I'll start with Visual Studio introduction. Those who are new to this session today, I strongly recommend to watch my first video, which was uploaded in YouTube channel, DURGASOFT YouTube channel. In the playlist, you can go through them. And even no worries, after completion of demo lectures, okay, 2 or 3 days, and you will also receive this all recorded video lectures to your Google Drive, along with complete soft copy of material. And this total .NET Core package duration is 4 months duration. In this 4 months duration, I'm going to cover these many subjects: C#, ASP.NET Core MVC with Entity Framework, Web API, ADV.NET with SQL Server. All these subjects I'm going to cover. So that's all for now. tomorrow from here onwards, we will start and we will start with coding part with Visual Studio. There is no offline classes for my sessions. Okay. Yes. So offline classes only Python full stack development. I used to teach Python full stack also, like core Python, advanced Python, Django, REST API, Flask framework, so many. That was offline only. Online only .NET. Yeah, projects also will be covered in ASP.NET point of view. Okay. Yeah. There is no online offline sessions of .NET from my side. Okay. So only online evening sessions, that too from 6 to night 10, only .NET. Only offline Python full stack development from early morning online sessions and offline sessions from morning 9 to evening 4, 3, like that. Python full stack concentration. No offline sessions of .NET from my side. Yeah, that is free of cost. .NET framework videos are there. That was old videos. If you want, if you are looking for .NET framework videos also, I will provide you, no problem. But the live sessions are all conducted through core framework only. Yeah, you can able to. So once the class, whenever the day it in which day it's finished, after 1 hour, 2 hour, you will receive the video. No problem. That you can access. Okay, fine. No. Morning sessions, no. Morning session, that's what I said, no. Morning 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., I was busy with my Python full stack subjects. Online session. Evening only .NET. Angular with .NET, we are not going to teach Angular. Okay, that you have to additionally have to learn separately. If you are looking forward for Angular only, then no need to learn .NET. Go for Angular only. That's enough. So ASP.NET core versions are there, no? Core versions are. Yes. ASP.NET core versions are there. Then you can able to contact through mail, no problem. I can help you at any point of time. Yes. So that's all for now today. So see you tomorrow again. You can use same link and same time you can join. So tomorrow we'll start coding part of .NET. Okay. Have a nice time. Thanks for attending this session.